Very good. Now, let's remove these bandages. Your face has healed nicely.
Hello, welcome to the Games Radar Plus Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain video review. My name's Justin Towell, I'm the reviews editor for the site, and I'm here with the group editor-in-chief, Dan Dawkins, who has finished the game. Hi, Dan.
Hello there.
So the thing that people would be asking is, why now? Why so long after the review embargo is lifted? What have you been doing in that time in the game?
Well, I first reviewed the game, or played the game, about 4 weeks ago at Konami's boot camp event, which is in a nice room somewhere where I played the game from 9 till 6 every day for 5 days. During that time, it's just not enough time to finish the game. I got about 35 hours in, around about mission 30. I simply wasn't at a point where I could put a score on it or say what I definitively thought. Given the history of Kojima's games, they often put in twists at the end or different things that change the perspective. Without giving too much away, I feel like I was validated to wait. Now, when I didn't get access to the code again until probably September the 1st, when everyone else did, I was completely unable to use the save I produced at the review event, so I had to start again, which took another week to get to where I was. Yeah. And then it took another week and a half to 2 weeks of 5 hours a night. I took 4 days off. You know, it was relentless. Every part of my life that wasn't my job or my family or breathing or eating was Metal Gear Solid. It completely consumed me. Later in the game, it's absolutely blisteringly hard as well. You have to replay certain missions on extreme. It's a really tough thing. So I think basically what I was doing is more of what the core structure of Metal Gear is, just playing it, chewing through the missions, experimenting with equipment, going into side ops. And I barely had time to go into the FOB elements. There's so much to do in this game.
Excellent. So, just in case there's anyone watching this who hasn't played the game yet, what do you spend the majority of your time doing, and how good is that core experience?
Well, you spend the majority of your time really almost in meditation, in the helicopter, re-equipping for missions, or pondering on Mother Base. And there's this sort of weird metronomic structure to the game, this beat of almost like you're a professional soldier going to war. And this repetitive drumbeat of sounds, of visual images is quite deliberate, I think, in the context of the bigger game, and kind of the way you're being programmed. And it does play into something that happens later in the game in Act 2, which I can't really reveal for spoilers. Sure, yeah. In terms of the game itself, you go from these metronomic and rigid beats to the game itself being incredibly open, very free. It's got the most incredible cascade of systems and interrelated skill trees and upgrades. So the more you play, the more you're constantly unlocking equipment, you're reinvesting. Every bit of effort you put in is reinvested elsewhere in the game, so there's no dead weight in this game. As a piece of design, it's ruthlessly economic. I think that is probably its abiding triumph. It's just, as a pure set of gameplay systems, it's sensational. And I think it has changed the paradigm for open world games to come. GTA 5 in comparison, which I love, feels almost facile.
Right. So in terms of the gameplay then, how does it fit into the series? And also, from the timeline perspective of the series, how does it actually fit in?
In terms of the gameplay from the series, it's just it's the ultimate evolution point of where it's been reaching. If you look at the ambitions for Metal Gear Solid 4, where Kojima talked about a game that he wanted a big open world destructive environment, it was simply that PS3's hardware couldn't handle it. And he did say at the time he felt like he was misled about the capabilities of that system. Right. Now this is the full realization of where he wanted to be 6 to 7 years ago, really. So now we do have a destructible environment. We do have an open world where you can approach from any angle. You have got rock solid 60 frames a second, frame rates, but at the same time, it's rooted in what we knew from these first scenes of Metal Gear Solid 4. The first 2 acts of Metal Gear Solid 4, and it's, if more than anything, if you played Ground Zeroes, it's essentially that, but applied to a much bigger open world canvas.
Okay, so what's the story like, and does it provide a resolution for the series? I mean, this is Kojima's last Metal Gear after all.
Oh wow! I mean, that's really hard to explain because I think he says the things he needs to say, the right things about the series. Honestly, talking about this in the right context would take 7 of these reviews. And I think I would say now, if you want to hear more of my thoughts about what the ending means and Kojima's legacy and the themes, please, do subscribe to the channel because we have lots more to come. There's a big debate raging right now amongst hardcore fans that the game is unfinished, right? Which is based on the fact that on the collector's edition disc, there is a mission 51, like an unpublished mission, which continues a major plot thread surrounding Eli, right? Now, and people are saying, oh, this was meant to be the real ending, and it fills it out, and blah, blah, blah. And to an extent, that's true, but you have to look at Kojima's games from a true fourth wall breaking perspective and say, hey, it isn't just cute that, you know, Psychomantis read our memory card 15, 20 years ago. Everything he does is open performance theatre, and it all interrelates. So Kojima's tweets and his release videos and his event attendances and the community are all intermeshed into the Metal Gear experience. Do not think of any of it as extraneous to the video game being the main part. It's all intermeshed. So I think you've got to then look at the fact that it's included on the bonus DVD is quite deliberate. So whilst it's not in the game, it is in the game. It's in your consciousness. You've seen it. There's 20-minute video recreating that scene. You've seen it. You don't need to play it.
So are
You've
you
seen
satisfied? Are you satisfied with the way that the series has been wrapped up in this?
I am dissatisfied, but delighted that he's ended it the way he has, because I think it's bolder to say less.
Sure. So is there anything in the game that doesn't work very well? Because obviously you love what you've played. But there must be something wrong.
It ties back to what I've just talked about. I think the biggest criticism you'd make is that it's the least most Metal Gear ever. It's the most in terms of its systems and everything it wanted to be as a game. The least in terms of its long didactics cutscenes, the 20-minute monologues, the big odes to the Patriots and the societal control that maps out everything, you know, that we believe in. A lot of that stuff's gone, right? And it's kind of like pushed into the audio tapes within the game. So it's still there, but it's presented in a different way. In terms of the main game, the cutscenes, bar the introduction, are really stripped back. The plot's it's ridiculous. It's like a Bond plot. It's like a James Bond plot. It kind of exists within its own universe. The lead character is almost a mute. But again, and in fact I'm publishing an editorial hopefully on the site today or very soon that will get into this, I feel like it's kind of deliberate. And the entire game is about information control, how information erodes as it travels between people's, you know, mouths, the different mediums it travels in. It's a legacy piece. There's so many themes that are within this. And I feel like in the same way that people didn't truly understand Metal Gear Solid 2 for probably years until after that game had come out, you know, will we be looking at Metal Gear Solid 5 in the same way? It's too early to say. And I feel like the pace of life is faster now. We analyse things quicker, we suck them up, we hoover them. But it could be that, and again, this is based on the PT experience where Kojima said he was surprised at how quickly people found the secrets. Maybe he's buried even deeper content within Metal Gear 5. Maybe there's DLC.
Yeah.
What's the reality of the situation with his employment? We don't know for a fact that he's leaving Konami. It's still kind of a rumour. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. We just don't know, right? But I mean, did I like it? Yes, I think it's an absolute masterpiece, right?
Is it your favourite Metal Gear?
It's the best Metal Gear.
Right.
I think I love bits from other games more because I've got a fondness for, like, again, those cutscenes and those moments and those descriptions. But I think this is the best Metal Gear game. And, yeah, I think it's the most accessible for anyone. But to truly, truly understand it, you've got to really have a broad understanding from Kojima's oeuvre.
Sure.
Sorry to use the word oeuvre.
That's all right. Anything goes. So what have you scored it?
Well, you know, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 100 out of... No, maybe not 100 out of 100. And on a different scale, I may have veered a bit lower, right?
But on the game's radar
It's irrelevant, right? The decision always, I think, with scores is do you buy it or not buy it? And I'm giving this like a 1-0, yes, it's a buy. Buy it, it's amazing. It's like a rare, magnificent piece of work that was like 6-7 years in production. You know, do give it a whirl.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Dan. That was a brief overview of Dan's full written review, which you can read in full via the link in the description. So Dan's already said he's going to be writing more in-depth features on Metal Gear Solid 5, so stay tuned. Hit subscribe for news, reviews and features from Games Radar Plus. Thanks for listening.